Rheumatology.
And so I am so excited to have her here today. This is so super exciting because we are exposed to more and more toxins every day. And this can lead to like inflammation. It's destroying our bodies. It's actually destroying our planet, period. And so I want her to talk all about her book today because of the fact that her book is what we need today. We need to start implementing these changes in our lives, in our homes, not only just to benefit our health, but to save the planet. So thank you so much, Aly, for coming on with me today.
Well, it is my pleasure, and we are old friends. I think we're old friends because we've been going through this process together. So I feel a certain kinship to you for the struggle. The struggle is real.
It is, right?
Real. But no, I'm glad you had me on the show, and your audience is perfect. Although every audience, in my opinion, is really the perfect audience for environmental health, which is how the environment affects human health. But it's not limited to just chemicals. Although, I'll hold up the book that is releasing tomorrow morning. So thank you for having me, Mediha. The book is focused mostly on chemicals and electromagnetic radiation. But I also put in there sleep and noise pollution and stress and all of the things that I consider environmental health, things outside of the body that affect human health, for good or for bad. Of course, nature can do wonderful things and support us, whereas, noise pollution and poor air quality outdoors and indoors can actually cause a whole host of health issues and not just physical, mental health issues. So thank you for having me. But
what inspired you to write it? I want to hear.
Yeah, I would never be doing this if it had not been about 10 years. I guess it's about 9 years ago when my dog actually became really, really sick. And the whole introduction is how I got into this so people can relate to the journey. So my dog was a beautiful golden retriever. He was 3.5 years old and he became really ill very quickly. Found out he had autoimmune hepatitis, which is absolutely crazy considering I'm an autoimmune disease specialist for humans.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was just shocking. And I couldn't believe he was so sick. And he was my firstborn. I had 2 little kids at the time, but he was my firstborn. So I was really heartbroken. And so I started researching what could have made him sick or his immune system trigger to attack himself at his liver. And I looked up, his dog food and his, air quality and drinking water we were feeding him. And we live on a farm, which you can, kind of see here. We live on a lot of land out in New Jersey. And I thought, okay, pesticides, something like that. Maybe there was an environmental exposure that we're not aware of and we should know about because of our kids. Anyway, it was a journey. I learned so much about the lack of regulation in this country for a variety of environmental exposures and for humans. And so it snowballed. And I kept on saying to myself, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? And I had no one. I was like, I didn't learn this in medical school. I didn't learn this in high school, college, high school, like biology or college classes or anything. And it just became a journey of why is this not out there? And I'm sort of creating the book that I wish was available for me when I was on my journey.
Absolutely. And I mean, let's go back there for a second because I'm a family physician.
Yeah.
You are a rheumatologist. This is our job to we deal with inflammation, right? Yeah. You're like the inflammation specialist.
Well, what's funny, I mean, it's not funny. I'm seeing the downstream effects of a whole host of environmental chemicals. So another aspect of why I was getting my Irish up, my Jewish up, whatever you want to call it, my ish up, was because I kept on seeing people that were getting sicker younger, like younger people, as you can imagine, you probably see younger people on thyroid medication, younger people with thyroid cancers, breast cancers in young people, like more so than, even in their 40s or even before mammos are routinely recommended. And so it started to make me question, why are we not preventing more of these diseases, of course, instead of having them come to me when they are sick? Same with kids. I asked one of the biggest groups here in Princeton, where I practice in Princeton, New Jersey. I said to my friend and colleague, who's one of the big pediatric groups heads, I said, listen, what do you guys routinely, screen for just in terms of nutrition? And he goes, nothing. He goes, well, we do a 12-month lead level and a 24-month lead level. And I said, well, what about vitamin D? Or what about, iodine in the urine, which is a great way to test for iodine? What about, just very basic stuff? Nothing. And so the fact that we have young kids who are developing so quickly, brain and body, who get no screening for anything nutritional, who have the worst or most variable diet, and probably need the nutrition the most to get their bodies going and healthy, to me kind of is absurd. And, not that I see tons of kids, but I do see it quite a bit. You see many, many more. I'm sure you're always, kind of shocked by the fact that we have no
so shocked.
mechanism.
And how and these are things that we're not taught in medicine.
They get 4 or 5 hours. Medical school students right now across the country literally get about 5 hours of nutrition training in the course of 4 years of medical school. Like, what
That's
is that
ridiculous.
About? It's ridiculous when we know food is medicine. We know clean food is medicine. We know that we've evolved for millions of years to use nutritional components of what's around us, whole foods, clean drinking water, clean air. It's just remarkable to me that we're not thinking about what our genetic templates are programmed to thrive off of.
Absolutely.
As opposed to everything else. Yeah.
Because for everybody that's watching, and remember, genes may load the gun, but it's the environment that pulls the trigger.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
Yeah. And then what we're exposed to on a daily basis, and these environmental chemicals that we're exposed to. I mean, these chemicals are found in our food, in our water, in our air, in our food packaging, in our furniture, in our makeup, in our bedding, in our family's toys, in our personal care products, our cookware, in our clothing, in our cleaning supplies. Like, this goes on and on and on. And how do we think that this is not going to affect us?
And it's that being overwhelmed in the way that you just described it is so real and so true that I had to come up with a solution.
Yes, and nobody has a book like this.
Listen, I don't think there's anything out there, and you know it.
Yes, I know. This is why I said I needed you on.
Everyone talks about a problem in environmental health. There's my dog. A lot of people talk about the problem, and I get it because there's a lot of really smart colleagues that wrote really great books about the problems, the regulatory issues, the chemical and physiological effects. But what I wanted to do is not just take that piece of it. I wanted to attach it to the solution, to what are our options? What can we do to actually reduce those exposures, and even talk and reference studies that show it can be done, right? So when you change out personal care products, like the Hermosa study, which was fabulous, and it's referenced and discussed in the book. Hermosa study took 100 Latina teenagers across the country, and they switched out their personal care products over the course of 3 days.
Wow.
And then retested their urine to find that they had dropped dramatically in a whole host of harmful industrial chemicals that came from those harmful personal care products. So we know that we can do this. It's just people need direction, how to look things up. We need to have vetted resources, tools, lists. I mean, super easy stuff for everyday people that I wish I had back in the day. I just had to learn it over, 8 years,
Oh, absolutely. And we had to deal with the consequences first, and then we had to think backwards. Yeah. Because, people are like, oh, yeah, toxins are just part of our daily routine. But now I think we're exposed to more toxins now than we've ever been previously, right?
Yeah, and the thing is, it is only getting worse. I mean,
that's
thing
what
is, the rollbacks on clean drinking water, rollbacks on agricultural runoff that's being allowed, manufacturer runoff that's being allowed. I mean, this has been going on for decades. Don't get me wrong, but I think that people are just starting now to realize how those rollbacks, those environmental changes, seep into human health, and they don't discriminate. These get into not just Flint's water system, lead. It's in every city in the country. There's lead issues, even in schools, which aren't even testing for lead because it's not a federally regulated mandate. So we have to really think about, it's not just them, that maybe underserved town, which of course we know there's a health discrepancy and issues with environmental justice, which is a whole nother talk, which we can get into. But just so we know,
Oh my gosh,
it's
yes.
not just them. It's all of us are getting affected by over 160,000 municipal water waste management plants that serve our drinking water. That serves everybody.
Wow.
Very little water is served through well water, about 40 million Americans, but the vast majority, 250 or 260 million Americans, are served by waste management treatment plants, like, municipal water or tap water.
Wow.
And so those 160,000 plants that supposedly clean our drinking water, are only held to a law called the Safe Drinking Water Act, which covers 91 chemicals only. And this is from 1976, hasn't changed. So when we know there's over 90,000 chemicals, literally, that get into our air, our water, our streams, our lakes.
That's a lot of chemicals.
That get into our water. I mean, sewage becomes drinking water, believe it or not. So all those medications we pee out. So all of this stuff heads to the treatment plant to get cleaned, and then it's cleaned technically for soil and sediment, but the vast majority of those chemicals come right through that filtration system because the infrastructure hasn't improved. And so the solution, and all the PVC piping that it goes through to get to your house and all the breaks along the way. But the real solution is to discuss filtering when it hits your home, when it hits your faucet. And when you can clean water at the point of use, which is at your faucet, and we give a whole chapter on drinking water and all the different solutions, costs, and variables that you need to consider. But when it hits your sink, your faucet, that's when you have the greatest control over what goes in your body and your kids' bodies. And we walk it through because it's just such an important topic of drinking water, right?
Absolutely. And the name of the book, you guys, I just posted the name of the book. So here it is, Non-Toxic Guide to Living Healthy in a Chemical World. Because, and I think we need to break this down for people that, this slow accumulation over time is what really causes this disruption. Because these toxins, if you're just a little bit, toxins is not so bad. But when it's slow every day, this high body burden of toxins overburdens the liver, and the liver is responsible for getting rid of these toxins. So when your liver now is overburdened, disrupts the ability to, all these toxins also disrupt your ability to detoxify. They're forcing the liver to even hold these toxins that should have been removed, and now they damage your metabolism. They basically lead to even damaging your mitochondria, so it's not good. And even specifically right now, it even damages your immune system. So all these toxins are really overall making us sicker. And so can we talk a little bit about what kind of diseases that you're seeing as like a medical doctor in your clinic, that these people need to understand that there's so much more that we can do to help these ailments, because these ailments could be because of the toxins that we're exposed to.
Yeah, I mean, so what we do know, and it's, again, lots and lots of robust international science on this, is that many of the chemicals that we're exposed to are called endocrine disruptors, or EDCs, endocrine disrupting chemicals, EDCs. And these chemicals actually have the ability to disrupt the natural hormones in our body. And hormones are signalers, right? They're communication systems between organs and function of the body. So for instance, as an example, insulin comes from the pancreas. Absolutely. And it's part of how we break down sugar so that we don't get overloaded in sugar and our muscles use up that sugar effectively. Well, we know these EDCs can affect insulin in terms of how it's absorbed, how much is produced. We know that it can affect obesity, these chemicals, in terms of creating larger fat cells and pushing out more fat cells from bone marrow, from those cells to become fat cells. We know that infertility is an issue in regards to environmental chemicals now, because of the ability hormonally for these chemicals to disrupt the normal functions of the reproductive system. Wow. There's a cognition in newborns, certainly pregnant women who are exposed to endocrine disruptors. So we now have over 1,000 known endocrine disrupting chemicals. And these are done by third-party academic groups, because, of course, manufacturers don't test any chemicals before they go into products that we use and love every day. So we know the ones from the academic institutions that have been tested. And so again, what we do see from low level exposure over time that mimic hormones and disrupt those hormones is higher rates of hormone sensitive cancers like breast cancer, prostate cancer, uterine, endometrial. We see higher rates of obesity, of insulin resistance, and increased rates of diabetes. Heart disease, we have higher rates of blood pressure, which is actually hormonally driven from the kidney, believe it or not, as well. And so we have what are called comorbidities, chronic health conditions, comorbidities. And we've heard a lot about that, unfortunately, recently with COVID-19, that people who have one or more comorbidities have increased risk for having a very poor reaction to coronavirus infection, which is really important because we've now figured out who are the people that actually get sickest are often the people that were already inflamed from their environmental chemicals that led to a lot of comorbid conditions, such as those listed: autoimmunity, heart disease, lung disease, kidney disease, as well as, obesity and diabetes that we heard a lot about. So, the argument is not to freak anyone out. It's to say, listen, now's the time, if there ever was one, to really start working on some of these health conditions through our environment. What can we do? What do we have control over that can really lower those exposures, that decrease inflammation in the blood that we know they do, and kind of create a lower baseline level of inflammation so that if we should get infected, which we're all able to get infected, I mean, this is a virus, but it's those that go on to have worse outcomes that we really need to work with to get them healthier and less exposed to chemicals. Oh, I can't hear you. I'm sorry. There you go.
Super important for us, but most importantly, for our children.
Yeah.
And you're seeing this more and more in kids also, right? Like these kids are getting sicker and sicker. Just like, I mean, it starts to affect in the belly while the mother is pregnant. So it's super important.
It's important, and it's not anyone's fault. Like, this book is not about judgment. It's about empowerment. It's about taking someone who maybe never heard about any of these topics and say, listen, here's a heads up. This is what goes on and this is what you can do. I was very careful to make sure that this book was for a novice, because I was a novice and I was on a journey. And I think that we do better when we know better. And so that was really the goal, is to get people to think, moving forward. So yeah, it's important, and it's important for pregnant women. But I also think, as a practitioner, and you're a practitioner, we need to make sure obstetrician gynecologists read this.
Absolutely.
Neonatologists need to read this. Family medicine needs to read it. Medical students need to read this. Residents in medical programs have. We really need to help people help themselves.
Absolutely. And I just checked on Amazon. You are a bestseller.
I don't know how any of this works. I really don't.
It doesn't matter. You got to screenshot it. You got your number one new release. Awesome. So you are a bestseller. So you guys, we got to get over to Amazon right now. Non-toxic guide to living healthy in a chemical world. It's already a bestseller. Share it with your family and friends. But let's talk about just quick geeks. Give us little tidbits of what we'll be able to see in the book and what we can really start implementing today. Because I think this is such a confusing world out there. This is such a confusing world out there that we need to start with something realistic. And I think that's what you have provided in the book, right? Realistic things that you can do today.
Well, I'll tell you, I get this a lot. What are your top 3 things people can do
right
now? Dude, right now. Right now, we could stop buying these chemicals and bringing them into our home. Number 1, air fresheners, carpet powders, fabric softeners, cleaners that haven't been vetted for safety through environmental working groups website, personal care products, and makeup that we can vet through resources as well. And so, I really want people to know that that's the first thing, is if you don't buy it, it's not around you. It's not going to get into your body as much, right? Second thing is, you want to watch the air in your home. You want to open your windows. You want to have clean air. Again, all those fresheners, we have to worry about those. There are a lot of phthalates and endocrine disruptors in those products. And really, we don't need them. If you open your windows and just clean with very, very basic stuff like, baking soda and lemon juice.
Vinegar.
And vinegar. White vinegar is fabulous. It stinks, but you can just freshen it up with, essential oils that are organic.
Absolutely.
And nothing synthetic, which aerates off, gets on our kids, ends up in dust on our kids and pets. So we want to just really remove this stuff. Don't buy it as much as you can. The second thing I really do emphasize, more so than even food, is water. As you can imagine, water has really risen as one of the most important concerns for me, because by body mass index, we just drink so much water. Our body is made up of water 70%, 80%. And I think people need to put more thought into what they drink more regularly and create a system for themselves, whether it's a carbon filter pitcher, whether it's a reverse osmosis water filter, which is now about $300. You don't have to get a whole house filter system, like we really kind of think we do. So, and then how do you carry your water? In glass and stainless steel. It's just a matter of getting that water system corrected, because we know how important that is. The third thing I would say is clean up our diet. I mean, it's hard to say that when you have habits, and we all love our food, especially our carbs. But we really want to think about how to have cleaner food, cleaner produce, whether it's organics, which is great because less pesticides, or we can buy frozen organics, which are much cheaper, believe it or not, than fresh, and actually are just as nutritious because they're flash frozen. But you can also wash conventional, which is not organic produce, in white vinegar and warm water. So 1 part white vinegar, 3 parts warm water. And so we give a lot of these recommendations are all in here. And so you don't have to be rich. You don't have to be a toxicologist. You can be, just someone who's empowered and willing to try ways to reduce those chemicals in a very easy way. So
absolutely. And I've noticed that it's actually really simple, because I just sort of swap out one product for another product. And I think like these grocery stores have made, I mean, if you're not, I'm not the type to make a lot of products because I got already a lot of stuff going on. But for example, I do like my organic detergents.
Right. And that's true. Like, you're busy, I'm busy.
Yeah.
I had someone say, hey, will you cook with me with one of your recipes from the book? And I said, well, it's funny you say that. I don't make dinner. I make reservations. The recipes are from my friends who do detox recipes that I love, and I'll eat their food, but I don't typically cook all that much. You can even ask my husband, but the idea is that the recipes are detox recipes, like even non-toxic Gatorade, which is something I do make, which is just a little bit of juice, real juice, filtered water, and sea salt. I mean, that's basically Gatorade without all the chemicals, colors, and fillers. So, there's just hacks for everything. And I think we did a nice job, my co-author and I, really putting that into the book. And I'll make mention, because I know your patients, and that BPA was taken out of baby bottles, correct? Remember in 2012?
Absolutely.
Well, guess who thinks was responsible for that? It was Dr. Fred Vom Saal, who's my co-author.
Yay! So we love you!
Yeah, these are the unsung heroes. This is the guy that through his research, he's a renowned biologist, reproductive and neurobiologist, and he really fought hard for that and continues to produce papers on BPA being harmful. But that was his big, I would say, most famous claim to fame. And this is a gentleman who worked with me. I was honored and humbled, and we really got the science right, which was important.
Yeah, no, the science is super important. So everything that she talks about obviously is evidence-based. These are medical doctors. It's not coming from anybody else. And so this is where it makes it, 100 times more, we got to take these to your doctor. And that's what I love about these kinds of books. These are the kinds of books I want you to read, implement, educate your own physician.
Right. And if they get pissed, you still got the book. So
you still got the book. Exactly. You got the book. You have it. And you can make easy swaps. I know in my house, I make easy swaps. They actually really don't cost that much difference. I get all my natural, my makeups are all 100% natural. And the prices actually are probably even better than all the extra chemically name brand versions. Yeah. So simple things that you guys can do today. Pick up her book. Non-Toxic Guide to Living Healthy in a Chemical World. Super exciting. Yay!
Yeah, it's been exciting. I think it's exciting for no other reason than I'm getting validated that this stuff has to get out there, that this
It
is
has to.
really critical information and everyone should be aware and what to do about it. It's not just being frustrated and throwing up your hands. It's okay, you know what? I'll work on that today and maybe I'll change that in a month and maybe I'll get that down in a couple of weeks. Not a rush, it's a journey. But
it's a journey.
It's for everyone going at their own pace. At least you have guidance that makes sense for all your effort.
Absolutely. Take it one step at a time. First step, buy the book. And leave a review for her on Amazon. Let me help you with this. Leave a review for her on Amazon. Amazing book.
Oh my gosh. You're the best. I swear to God, I'm hiring you as my PR person from now on. It is you.
I just signed my 5th book deal. So I sort of figured that.
God bless. That is amazing. Good for you. Good for you.
Slowly but surely. So awesome, everybody. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comment below. And follow The Smart Human. She has phenomenal resources. I have actually linked a lot of her stuff. I went through them. I love them. And great information. Great. Please share them. Invite your friends to it. Have them all like her page. And then we will see you guys, hopefully, at the next one. This next Thursday, she is going to sit down now with kids. So my 12-year-old and my 9-year-old. She's going to sit down and really talk to your kids. So bring your kids, bring your families to see that, because this is a conversation us kids and your children need to be having. We should be having this conversation.
I have 2 boys, just like
yes, you have 2 boys.
But I have 11 and 13-year-old boys. And
no,
so,
bring them on too. We're going to have this conversation. Yes, this will be so exciting. So we'll see you guys Thursday back here on Holistic Mom MD. Can't wait till I see you. Yay! And
go for having me, Medina.
Non-Toxic. Thank you, Aly.
Appreciate it.